We are sisters, Julia and Anastasia, caring for a regenerative fruit farm on the east coast of Australia. We have a dream to build a self-sustainable future and regenerate the land for generations to come. While we spend each day building, farming, gardening, and learning to care for the land regeneratively, we also balance this work with creativity. Living on a farm can be isolating, but creativity is what keeps us stimulated and entertained. Sometimes we can go for weeks without seeing any other humans. We have found that we still love to get dressed in beautiful clothes and use this as a way to express ourselves, finding different passion and joy in the simple moments of every day. One of the best parts of this isolated life is having so much time to create freely. Instead of entertaining ourselves by going out, we are constantly creating in different ways. I like to sew my own clothes out of beautiful second-hand discarded fabrics, and Julia is always painting the landscape and humans around her. Today we will share one of our typical creative rainy days, where Julia paints and I sew this outfit. We listen to music and the rain pitter-patters on the roof. We'll give you a tour of the special place where all this creativity happens. This is the old farm shed. It was built by our dad, who felled and crafted the beams into this beautiful, grand, and rough barn. The trees that he used to make these beams were planted by our grandfather, and there is so much meaning in every little corner of this place. Our dad died before the shed was ever finished, and one of the first projects we undertook was renovating it so that we could protect these special beams from the weather. We built this painting studio for Julia, using recycled materials where we could, and using the project as a way to learn to build. Our uncle guided us, and we put a floor in, closed in the walls, and built the studio for Julia. So, this is where we spend our days, painting and sewing, with visits from Magnolia and Moth the goats. And Moth always nibbles on all of the houseplants. No! This iron was first salvaged from our hometown's movie theatre. Then, our parents used it to build the roof of our childhood home. After many years over our heads there, it became leaky and needed replacing. So now it's used for the shed walls because it doesn't matter if it has a few holes in it. And it has such a beautiful story behind it. The windows were from an old dairy factory. The floorboards were from Byron Bay's original post office. These were all materials that our mum and dad had collected over the years and stored in the shed. It was so meaningful to craft them into this special space. Julia is an artist who paints a mixture of landscapes and portraits. She considers the relationships between humans and the environment, focusing on the land we live on and the meaning that surrounds it. This is the workshop, where we do woodworking, store tools, mum LED lights, and I sew. I sew in here, but it can be pretty rough. The goats know their way in because there is no real door, so almost every time I sew, a goat or two invites themselves to jump all over the benches, and sometimes Magnolia tangles her horns in my thread. Because it's also a workshop, sometimes sawdust gets all through my things. So this combination of goat poop and sawdust has inspired us to build a studio in the old part of the shed. We're going to have to put barriers across here and clean it all out. This project is another way that we're going to teach ourselves to build. We often work together using sustainable materials. We found this roll of fabric in a second-hand store. Together we combined our practices to make a coat. Julia painted it with acrylic paint and fabric fixative, and then I designed a pattern and sewed it. To make a collar, I used our old car seat covers that were falling apart. They were originally made of wool offcuts patchworked together. Yay, here's the finished piece! It's not that practical for farm work, but it was such a beautiful creative journey and we had so much fun. The fabric was so beautiful I couldn't bear to throw any of it out. I used every individual offcut and patchworked them together to make a corset-inspired top. Like how we farm, here I'm creating in a way that hopes to not only be sustainable, but to regenerate, repair, or restore. This outfit makes me want to milk cows and yodel in the hills, but instead I'm going to do the subtropic version of this and go and pick some wax jambus. This is my take on traditional patchworking techniques that have been used for centuries in so many cultures. Most often, these techniques derived from necessity. In times of hardship like the Great Depression, or even by ancient Egyptians 5,500 years ago. Now, the necessity of the climate crisis draws me to this technique, in a time where every resource needs to be considered for our planet's future. This patchwork takes a lot of time, but the process is so special. Joining together otherwise unusable tiny offcuts to make a piece of fabric that transforms to become something more beautiful, holding so much meaning. I used flat felled seams to connect the pieces, creating strength and neatness. I was also inspired by Julia's directions and movement in her strokes of paint. Through this technique, I feel connected to the long line of sewers before me. I entertain myself how they have through the ages, creating and weaving stories through fabric. As young people living in an isolated setting like this, these are some of the ways that we like to entertain ourselves. Creating and conceptualizing play a huge role in our day-to-day life, and we do this in all aspects of life on the farm, from designing chicken pens to gardening, cooking, or foraging. In all farm work, you have to be creative and adaptable. flowing with the cycles of nature. So many fruit. They taste best eaten straight off the tree, and are the best thing to come across on a hot day. Sometimes on a sweaty summer day when we're working in the paddocks, I can't stop snacking on them. They are so juicy, it's like drinking an icy lemonade. After they are picked, they never seem to taste as good. Even a few hours later, they are less juicy. Because of this, they are hard to store or preserve. So, Julia had the idea of freezing them so we could make fresh wax jambu gelato. This way, we can have the yummy cool snack at any time of the year. Nearly my toe. None for you. None. No. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more.